Okay, so get this. Someone wants us to do a deep dive into Kayakalpa Yoga,
Ah.
a practice that promises vitality, longevity,
Oh, wow.
and maybe even immortality.
Really?
Yeah, wild, right? We've got chapters from a book dedicated to this ancient system,
Okay.
and it looks like a fascinating blend of Eastern traditions and modern science.
Interesting.
So consider this deep dive like a crash course in Kayakalpa Yoga,
Mm-hmm.
where we'll try to separate fact from, well, let's just say optimistic speculation, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, immortality, come on.
It's a big claim.
That's a big one.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what's interesting to me is how Kayakalpa Yoga approaches these big ideas,
Yeah.
like not just from a spiritual perspective, but they connect it to,
Uh-huh.
the very building blocks of our bodies.
Yeah.
We're talking about cells, energy, even the way we think.
That's right. It really does approach it from multiple levels.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
It is.
So let's
Okay.
start with the basics. What exactly is Kayakalpa Yoga?
So the essence of Kayakalpa Yoga is rejuvenation.
Okay.
Kaya means body,
Uh-huh.
and Kalpa refers to a vast period of time,
Okay.
often linked with the concept of immortality.
Right.
And this practice aims to rejuvenate the body by regulating what's called sexual vital fluid, or SVF.
Okay, hold on. Sexual vital fluid.
Yeah.
That's a new one for me.
It's a term you'll hear a lot in this system.
And how does it connect to, actually living longer?
It gets a bit complex,
Okay.
but think of it as the vital essence that energizes every cell,
Okay.
connected to our life force,
Uh-huh.
and something called biomagnetism.
Biomagnetism.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a whole system.
All right. So Kayakalpa Yoga views SVF as like,
As a container for life force particles.
okay.
Think of it as the final, highly refined product of everything you eat,
So it's like,
transformed through 7 stages within your body. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
So food becomes juice, then blood, then gets refined further into...
Yeah, so go through these stages, right?
Yeah.
Food turns into juice.
Right.
Then that turns into blood.
Uh-huh.
Then blood gets refined into muscle, fat, bone marrow.
Wow.
And finally, this SVF.
Okay.
So it's quite a process.
And what happens if we lose this elixir?
Well, that's the key.
Okay.
And where lifestyle comes in,
Uh-huh.
Kayakalpa Yoga says things like stress, negative emotion,
Yeah.
overindulging,
Yep.
basically anything that pushes you out of balance
Right.
can deplete your SVF.
Okay.
This weakens your life force,
Got it.
impacts your biomagnetism.
Yeah.
And ultimately, this is what they believe leads to disease and aging.
So it's
Like, it all comes back to this idea of balance.
yeah, so it's like our modern obsession with burnout,
Yeah, exactly.
but with an ancient twist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kayakalpa Yoga is giving us the tools to prevent that burnout
Uh-huh.
and hold on to our vitality.
That's the idea.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want that?
Right.
So how do we do it?
Well, to maintain that balance,
Okay.
it uses 3 main practices. Ashwini Mudra,
Okay.
Mula Bandha,
All right.
and August Breath.
Gotcha.
Have you heard of these before?
I've heard of Mula Bandha, I think.
Okay, yeah, it's a common one.
But the other two, not so much.
All right, well, let's break them down then.
Yeah, let's unpack these.
Right.
Starting with Ashwini Mudra.
All right, so Ashwini Mudra,
Yeah.
you can think of it as a targeted workout for your pelvic floor muscles.
Oh, okay.
You contract and release,
Uh-huh.
and Kayakalpa Yoga says this regulates the flow
Okay.
of SVF and life force.
So like those Kegel exercises I keep hearing about.
Yeah, exactly like Kegels.
But with an added energetic dimension.
Yes, there's definitely an energetic component to it.
Okay, and does that tie into the whole biomagnetism thing?
It does.
Okay.
And this is where we start to see some fascinating connections
Okay.
to modern anatomy. The pelvic floor muscles are controlled by the pudendal nerve,
Okay.
a key player in our parasympathetic nervous system.
Oh, okay.
You know, the rest and digest system
Oh, yeah.
that helps us chill out and repair.
Right, right.
So it all ties together.
Ah, starting to see how the pieces fit together.
Yeah.
So working those muscles might help regulate not just SVF,
Right.
but our stress response too.
Exactly.
Okay,
Right.
cool. What about Mula Bandha?
So Mula Bandha,
Yeah.
imagine you're gently locking energy in the lower part of your body. That's Mula Bandha.
Okay.
It's meant to prevent downward flow of SVF
Okay.
and encourage its movement upwards.
So it's like a dam.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Holding back a rushing river
Okay.
and redirecting it to a generator.
Uh-huh.
So instead of electricity, we're generating vitality.
That's a great analogy. I like it.
It just popped in my head.
You're good with those analogies.
I try.
Yeah,
So does that tie into the idea of chakras at all?
it does. This is where the idea of chakras comes in.
Okay.
Kayakalpa Yoga is all about moving energy from the lower chakras,
Uh-huh.
linked to, like basic instincts,
Yeah.
up to the higher chakras associated with awareness and
Yeah.
spiritual growth.
So that's the connection between the physical practice
Right.
and those mental and spiritual benefits they claim.
Yeah, exactly.
Fascinating.
It is.
What about Ojas breath?
So Odo's breath,
Yeah.
it's a specific breathing technique designed to increase your energy levels.
Uh-huh.
The source material describes it as a slow,
Uh.
deep breath with a slightly constricted glottis. You're aiming for a gentle snoring sound, almost like a sleeping baby.
That's not what I was picturing, but I get it.
Yeah, it's not the most glamorous image.
Controlled, focused breath work.
Exactly.
And this is also pushing energy upwards.
Yes, it activates higher chakras,
Okay.
and some even link it to the production of something called Amrit.
Wait, Amrit.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the legendary nectar of immortality?
Yeah, that's the one.
Is Kayakalpa Yoga suggesting we can create...
Well, not literally brew it.
Right.
Some immortality juice in our bodies. But the idea is that through these practices,
Okay.
we can transform our energy into something incredibly potent and vitalizing, which they call Amrit.
Okay.
And some speculate that Amrit might have a modern-day equivalent.
Melatonin?
Melatonin,
Yeah. Huh.
the sleep hormone.
That's right.
Okay, my mind is officially doing backflips.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in.
Ancient yogis talking about a magical nectar.
Right.
And now science is studying melatonin for its potential impact on aging and cell longevity.
Yeah. Pretty interesting connection.
It's like Kayakalpa Yoga was onto something way ahead of its time.
It certainly raises questions about the relationship between ancient wisdom
Yeah.
and scientific discovery.
Yeah. So we're talking melatonin, and they also draw parallels
Yes, they do.
to modern research between their approach to longevity
Uh-huh.
and modern research on things like telomeres.
Wow, hold on. We're already talking cutting-edge science.
Yeah, we are getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Can we rewind a bit?
Sure.
Back to the benefits,
Okay.
Let's give our listener the rundown of what Kayakalpa Yoga supposedly offers.
Okay, so the source material makes some bold claims.
Lay it on me.
Physically,
Yeah.
we're talking improved digestion,
Yeah.
enhanced sexual function,
Uh-huh.
strengthened pelvic floor muscles, which we've already touched on,
Right.
increased energy levels,
Okay.
and even resistance to disease and aging.
Okay. I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah, it's a long list.
Especially about the aging
Of
part.
course, that's the big one.
Yeah, I mean, who isn't?
Right.
What about the mental and spiritual benefits?
Well, Kayakalpa Yoga is said to reduce stress and anxiety,
Okay.
improve emotional well-being,
Mm-hmm.
and even enhance cognitive function.
Interesting.
And on the spiritual side,
Yeah.
it's believed to expand consciousness,
Okay.
accelerate spiritual growth,
Uh-huh.
and some even believe it can lead to self-realization.
Wow, that's quite a package deal.
It is. It's a whole system, as we said.
But how does it actually work?
Good question.
We've talked about the physical practices and some scientific links,
Yeah.
but what's going on beneath the surface?
That's where the concepts of nadis, chakras,
Okay.
and the three bodies come in.
All right, let's dive into the metaphysical deep end.
All right, let's do it.
Nadis, chakras, those are energy systems, right?
Yes, that's right.
But what are the three bodies?
Think of them as layers of your being.
Okay.
You have the physical body,
Uh-huh.
the one we interact with the world with.
Right, the one we can see.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then there's a subtle body
Okay.
made up of energy channels called nadis
Mm-hmm.
and energy centers called chakras.
Right.
And finally, the causal body, the most subtle layer
Okay.
connected to your mind, karma,
Okay.
and your deepest self.
So Kayakalpa Yoga is working on all three of these levels simultaneously.
That's the idea.
Wow, ambitious.
It is a comprehensive system.
Okay.
It addresses the whole person.
All right, but there's one thing I'm still hung up on.
Oh, boy.
The whole connection between Amrit, melatonin, and the pineal gland.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Can you break that down further?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Remember how Kayakalpa Yoga emphasizes preserving sexual vital fluid?
Uh-huh.
They believe that preventing the loss of this fluid
Okay.
allows it to transform into something incredibly potent and vitalizing,
Okay.
which they call Amrit.
Right.
Now, modern science knows the pineal gland,
Uh-huh.
often called the third eye,
Yeah.
produces melatonin,
Uh-huh.
a hormone that regulates sleep-wake cycles.
Okay.
And Get this, some people believe Amrit and melatonin might be connected.
So while there's no scientific proof yet,
Yeah.
there's enough overlap to suggest that maybe Kayakalpa Yoga is tapping into something we're only beginning to understand
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
with modern science.
It is.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
That's what I love about these deep dives,
Yeah, me too.
It's like constantly expanding what's possible. It's like,
Really?
oh, maybe this ancient thing isn't so crazy after all.
Yeah, right.
So they're not just talking about Amrita and melatonin.
No, they're not.
They also talk about Kachari Mudra.
That's right. They do mention that.
So tell me more about this.
So Kachari Mudra,
Yeah.
it's an advanced practice.
Okay.
It involves lengthening the tongue
Hmm.
to stimulate certain points in the nasal cavity.
Okay.
Some believe it plays a role in the production of Amrit,
Oh, okay.
but it's not for beginners.
So it's like a secret technique
Yeah, you could say that.
for boosting those life-enhancing benefits?
That's the idea.
Okay, and it sounds intense.
It is an advanced practice.
So we'll leave that one
Yeah, maybe for another time.
for the experts.
Right.
Okay, but before our listeners' head explodes from all this information,
Yeah.
let's zoom out for a moment.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about, individual benefits,
Yeah.
but the source material also mentions Kayakalpa Yoga's potential impact
Yes.
on society as a whole.
Right. That's a fascinating aspect.
So how does that work?
Well, what's really intriguing here
Yeah.
is the concept of Kayakalpa Yoga as a path to world peace.
Whoa, hold on.
It's a big idea.
How does regulating your sexual vital fluid lead to world peace?
It might seem like a stretch,
Yeah, it kind of does.
but the idea is that Kayakalpa Yoga promotes inner peace
Okay.
through self-regulation,
Uh-huh.
emotional balance,
Okay.
and mental clarity.
Got it.
The thought is, if enough people achieve that inner peace,
Yeah.
it could ripple outwards,
Mm-hmm.
creating a more harmonious society.
Okay, so it's like the be the change idea,
Exactly.
but with a very specific focus on our
Yes.
energetic foundation.
Yeah.
But how realistic is that, really?
It's certainly a bold vision,
Yeah.
but the source material even suggests that as more people practice Kayakalpa Yoga,
Yeah.
the collective consciousness might shift
Mm.
towards greater understanding, compassion,
Okay.
and eventually a more peaceful world.
Okay. That's a lot to unpack.
It is. It's a big idea.
But it's definitely making me think about how personal transformation might influence the world around us.
It is a powerful concept
Yeah.
when you think about it.
All right, so we've covered, the basics of Kayakalpa Yoga, the
Mhm.
supposed benefits, and this grand vision of world peace.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
But I keep circling back to this idea of SVF being the key to longevity.
It's a central concept.
Can we dig deeper into the science of aging
Okay.
and how Kayakalpa Yoga might fit into that?
Excellent point.
Because if we're talking about potentially extending lifespan,
Uh-huh.
I'm all ears.
All right, let's see if we can connect some dots then
Awesome.
between Kayakalpa Yoga and what modern research is uncovering.
Okay, so how might that work?
To understand that,
Yeah.
we need to understand a little about how aging happens
Okay,
at the cellular level.
gotcha.
You've probably heard of telomeres.
Yeah, they're like those little plastic tips.
Exactly.
Okay, they're shoelaces.
They prevent them from fraying.
Right.
Every time a cell divides,
Okay.
those telomeres shorten.
Uh-huh.
Eventually, they get so short the cell can't divide anymore
Oh, okay.
and dies.
Right, that makes sense.
This is natural aging.
Yeah.
But certain lifestyle factors can accelerate the shortening of telomeres,
Gotcha.
leading to premature aging and disease.
Okay, so is Kayakalpa Yoga somehow protecting those telomeres?
Not directly.
Hmm.
But remember how the practice emphasizes regulating sexual vital fluid?
Yeah.
Preventing its loss?
Right.
Well, some speculate that this might indirectly impact telomere length.
Okay.
It's a bit of a stretch, but the idea is that
Yeah.
by conserving this vital essence, you're essentially
Yeah.
slowing down the rate of cellular aging.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not about stopping aging,
Oh.
but aging gracefully and healthily. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is where stem cells come in.
Okay.
Stem cells are like blank slates
Yeah.
that can become any type of cell in the body,
Hmm.
and they're crucial for tissue repair and regeneration.
They're like the body's own repair crew,
Exactly.
keeping things running smoothly.
Right.
Okay.
While Kayakalpa Yoga doesn't directly manipulate stem cells,
Okay.
the emphasis on overall health and vitality
Mm.
might create a more favorable environment.
So it's like creating fertile ground for those stem cells
Yeah, exactly.
to thrive and do their job
Uh-huh.
of keeping the body young and resilient.
Right.
But is there any evidence for that?
That's where more research is needed.
Okay.
The source material does compare Kayakalpa's approach to longevity
Right.
with modern research on delaying puberty.
Delaying puberty. That's
Yeah.
a pretty radical concept.
It is
How would that work?
as a potential method for increasing lifespan.
Hmm.
This has been observed in some animal studies,
Interesting.
but it's a controversial area.
Yeah, I can see why.
And definitely not something to try without serious consideration
Right.
and expert guidance.
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's a complex issue.
Okay, so we're talking about Kayakalpa Yoga potentially influencing telomere length,
Right?
stem cell function,
Yes.
and even the timing of puberty.
It's a lot to consider.
That's a lot to digest.
It is.
It's mind-blowing, really.
It is a fascinating system.
And while more research is definitely needed to understand exactly how it might work,
Yes, definitely.
the connections between Kayakalpa Yoga and modern science are certainly intriguing.
They are. They really are.
And it's important to emphasize, Kayakalpa Yoga isn't just about living longer.
No, it's not.
It's about living better.
Exactly.
It's about cultivating a state of vitality and well-being that allows you to fully experience life,
Right.
no matter how long you live.
Absolutely. That's the key.
Okay.
It's about quality of life.
That's something I think we can all get behind.
I think so, too.
But before we get swept away by the possibilities,
Uh.
let's consider some potential challenges or limitations.
That's a good point.
Yeah. What are some things our listeners should be aware of
Okay, good question.
before jumping into Kayakalpa Yoga?
That's a wise move.
Yeah.
It's important to approach any practice,
Right.
especially one that involves these techniques, with a healthy dose of caution.
So what are some red flags or things to watch out for?
Well, first and foremost,
Okay.
it's essential to find qualified and experienced teachers.
Right, because we're talking about manipulating energy here
Exactly.
and not just doing a few stretches.
Right. It's a powerful system.
Right. What about potential side effects
That's a great question.
or things to watch out for?
Well, Kayakalpa Yoga is generally considered safe
Okay.
when practiced correctly.
Yeah.
It's essential to be mindful of your own body
Okay.
and any pre-existing conditions.
Right.
If you have any concerns, it's always best to consult with a healthcare professional
Okay.
before starting any new practice.
Solid advice.
Thank you.
And what about the mental and emotional aspects?
Oh, good point.
We've talked about the potential benefits,
Yeah.
but are there any risks associated with working with such powerful energies?
It's definitely possible
Okay.
for certain practices to trigger intense emotional releases or even exacerbate pre-existing mental health conditions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's why having the support of experienced teachers
Okay.
is so crucial.
Right, you need someone to guide you through that.
They can help you navigate those challenges
Yeah.
and integrate the experiences in a healthy way.
Okay, so proceed with caution,
Yes.
find qualified guidance, and listen to your body.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Good.
What about the time commitment?
That's the million-dollar question.
We're talking about a practice that claims to lead to immortality.
Right.
How much time do we need to devote to this to see results?
Well, the source material doesn't give a specific time frame.
So no shortcuts to immortality, huh?
It seems not.
Okay.
But remember, even if you're not aiming for immortality,
Right.
the potential benefits of Kayakalpa Yoga are still pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Improved health, increased vitality, enhanced mental clarity, deeper spiritual awareness.
Yeah, those are all pretty great.
Those are all pretty worthwhile goals.
Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to remember that the journey itself can be just as rewarding
Yeah.
as the destination.
It's about the process.
Kayakalpa Yoga offers a path of self-discovery and transformation that can enrich your life in countless ways, even if you never achieve immortality.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
It's about embracing the process of growth and evolution,
Yeah.
both individually and collectively.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
But there's one more aspect of Kayakalpa Yoga that I want to explore
Okay.
before we wrap things up for this part. Its connection to ethics and morality.
Oh, interesting.
It seems like a practice that focuses so much on self-development
Yeah.
would have some ethical guidelines, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The source material mentions yama and niyama, which are basically ethical guidelines
Okay.
for how to live your life.
Uh-huh.
They encourage things like nonviolence,
Okay.
truthfulness, moderation, and self-discipline.
So it's not just about mastering the physical techniques.
No, it's not.
It's about cultivating a certain way of being in the world.
Exactly.
Okay.
Kayakalpa Yoga sees these principles as essential for creating inner harmony and balance
Right.
which they believe are necessary
Okay.
to unlock your full potential.
Okay. So it's like building a strong ethical foundation
Yeah, you could say that.
to support all those incredible benefits we talked about.
It's all connected.
But how much emphasis do they really place on this?
That's a good question.
Is it just lip service? Or do you need to be a saint to practice Kayakalpa yoga?
That's something we'll need to explore further.
Okay.
It seems like the ethical aspects are interwoven with the practice itself, not just an add-on,
Right.
but how strictly those guidelines are followed and
Yeah.
how they're interpreted in modern times
Okay.
is something we'll need to dig deeper into.
All right. So we've laid the groundwork for understanding Kayakalpa yoga.
Yeah, I think we have.
The basics, the potential benefits, the challenges, and even the ethical implications.
It's a complex system.
But there's still so much to uncover.
There is.
And that's what we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm looking forward to it.
We'll delve even deeper into the practices, the philosophy,
Correct.
and the potential for this ancient system to transform your life.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue our exploration of Kayakalpa yoga.
Okay.
We've got more fascinating insights to share.
Looking forward to it.
So don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Kayakalpa yoga.
It's good to be back.
So in part 1, we covered the basics, like the benefits, the risks,
Yeah, we laid the groundwork.
all that good stuff. But I want to explore some of the more mystical aspects of Kayakalpa yoga. Like, what's the deal with this subtle body?
Yeah, that's a big one.
And these mysterious chakras that keep popping up. So let's dive into that.
Okay, let's do it.
What exactly is the subtle body?
Well, think of it as an energetic blueprint that exists alongside your physical body.
So we have, 2 bodies.
In a way, yes.
Okay, and it's made up of?
It's made up of energy channels called nadis and energy centers called chakras, which govern the flow of prana, or life force energy.
So like an invisible network of energy.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
That influences our physical and mental states.
Right.
Do they actually believe these nadis and chakras physically exist?
That's what I was wondering.
It's more about visualizing the flow of energy.
Okay, so not like literal.
Not like physical structures that you could see under a microscope,
Got her.
but more like pathways that energy flows through.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So there are tons of these nadis, right?
Kayakalpa Yoga describes thousands of nadis.
Wow.
Each with a unique function.
But are there any important ones?
But there are 3 main ones that they focus on.
Okay, tell me about those.
Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna.
Okay, those names are vaguely familiar.
Yeah, they're pretty common in yogic traditions.
What do they represent?
Picture it this way.
Okay.
Ida, often linked to the moon, represents feminine energy, coolness, receptivity.
Okay.
Pingala, associated with the sun, represents masculine energy, heat, and dynamism.
Okay.
And Sushumna, the central channel, runs along the spine.
Okay.
It's considered the pathway to spiritual awakening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a big one.
So it's like a cosmic dance between these 2 opposing energies.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay.
With Sushumna as like the central axis.
Right, I get it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so how do the chakras fit into this?
Well, chakras are visualized as spinning wheels of energy located along the spine, each linked to specific physical, emotional, and spiritual functions.
Okay, and we talked about one of the chakras.
Right, the Muladhara chakra.
The root chakra, right.
At the base of the spine.
Okay, but what are some other?
There are 7 main chakras.
Okay, give me the rundown.
So we have the Muladhara, as you mentioned. Then there's the Swadhisthana chakra.
Swadhisthana?
Yeah, located in the pelvic region. It's associated with creativity, sexuality, and emotions.
Oh, interesting.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Considering Kayakalpa Yoga's emphasis on regulating sexual vital fluid.
So by working with this chakra, you can basically
You can harness and transform.
Right, harness and transform.
Your creative and sexual energy.
But where does that energy go?
Upwards.
Upwards.
That's the key principle here.
Okay.
Directing energy from the lower chakras to the higher ones.
Gotcha.
So next in line is the Manipura chakra at the solar plexus.
Solar plexus, okay.
Associated with willpower, self-esteem, and digestion.
Oh, the gut feeling chakra, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
So we're moving from those base desires of the lower chakras
Yeah.
up to the heart center.
Okay.
Where things get a little more, let's say, evolved.
Right, a little more refined.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the heart chakra?
That's the Anahata chakra.
Okay.
In the center of the chest.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about love, compassion, and connection.
Okay, so we're moving up.
We're moving up.
The ladder.
Yeah, to the chakras.
Okay, what's next?
Next, we have the Vishu chakra. Yeah, or throat chakra.
Okay.
Located in the throat, obviously. Associated with communication, self-expression.
Interesting.
Authentically expressing ourselves.
Makes sense. They do a lot of chanting, right?
Yeah, they do.
And breath work.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going up, up, up.
We are...
What's next?
The Ajna chakra. Also known as the third eye chakra.
Okay.
Located between the eyebrows. It's the center for intuition, insight, and spiritual vision.
Okay, so that's where you get, like, psychic powers.
It's considered a gateway to higher states of awareness.
Right, got it.
It's not necessarily about psychic powers.
Yeah, okay.
But more about accessing deeper levels of wisdom.
Okay, that makes sense.
And finally, we have the Sahasrara chakra.
Sahasrara?
The crown chakra.
Okay, at the top of the head.
Located at the top of the head.
All right, and that one's all about?
It's associated with enlightenment.
Oh, wow.
Spiritual connection, transcendence.
So that's, like, the ultimate goal.
It's the ultimate goal.
Okay.
The merging with universal consciousness.
Wow. That's a lot to take in.
It's a profound concept.
So by activating and balancing all these chakras, Kayakalpa Yoga aims to awaken the Kundalini energy.
That's right.
We talked about that before.
We did.
But I'm still a little unclear on what Kundalini actually is.
Think of Kundalini as dormant potential energy, coiled at the base of the spine.
Okay, like a snake.
Yeah, that's the traditional imagery.
Okay.
When awakened, it rises through the chakras.
Okay.
Leading to a profound transformation.
Wow, so we've got all this energy moving up through our bodies.
Right.
Activating all these chakras.
It's a powerful process.
But how much of this is, real?
That's a good question.
Like, can you actually measure any of this?
Well, modern science doesn't necessarily recognize chakras as physical entities.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that the locations and functions of the chakras often align with the locations and functions of major endocrine glands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
So maybe the ancient yogis were onto something.
It's possible.
Even without, all the scientific tools we have today.
They were very observant.
Yeah, they were paying attention
of their internal experience.
To their bodies.
Exactly.
Okay, and they also talk about this Amrit, right?
That's right.
This immortality nectar.
The nectar of immortality.
Is there any scientific basis for that?
Well, remember how Kayakalpa Yoga emphasizes preserving sexual vital fluid? They believe that when this fluid is transmuted, it creates Amrit. And some people speculate that Amrit might be connected to melatonin, the hormone produced by the pineal gland.
The pineal gland, or the...
Often called the third eye.
Right, the third eye.
Yeah.
So maybe ancient wisdom and modern science aren't so far apart after all.
It's an interesting possibility.
Yeah, but is there any evidence that melatonin actually has anything to do with longevity?
That's where more research is needed.
Okay.
We know that melatonin levels declined with age.
Right.
And studies have shown that supplementing with melatonin can have positive effects on sleep, cognitive function, and even lifespan in some animal studies.
So it's promising.
It is.
But the jury's still out.
Yeah, the research is ongoing.
Okay, I get it.
But it's definitely an area worth exploring.
Okay, so back to the three bodies.
Right.
We've got the physical body.
Yes.
We've got the subtle body. What's the causal body all about?
So the causal body is the most subtle layer.
Okay.
Associated with your deepest self. Your soul, your connection to the divine.
Okay, so it's like beyond our physical form.
It's the essence of who you truly are.
Okay, but how does that relate to our everyday experience?
Think of it as the underlying blueprint that informs your physical and subtle bodies. It's the realm of pure potentiality. Kayakalpa Yoga aims to help us access and cultivate this deeper layer of our being through practices like meditation and energy regulation.
So it's more of a state of being.
Yeah, it's not a physical thing.
And like something we have.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, good.
And how does that relate to like karma?
Oh, interesting question.
Is our karma stored in one of these bodies?
Kayakalpa Yoga teaches that our actions create imprints. Or samskaras.
Samskara.
Yeah, on our astral body, which then influence our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in the physical world.
So it's like we're creating these energetic patterns based on our actions.
Like a feedback loop.
Okay.
Where past actions shape our present experience. Does that make sense?
It does. It
does.
That's
a big good.
So if we do bad things,
right,
we're doomed to suffer in the future.
It's not about punishment and reward.
Okay.
Karma is more about understanding the consequences of our actions and making conscious choices.
Gotcha.
Kayakalpa Yoga believes we can purify our karma through positive actions and cultivating qualities like love, compassion, and forgiveness.
So it's not set in stone.
No, it's not fixed.
Okay.
You have the power to change your karma.
That's a pretty empowering concept.
It is. It's about taking responsibility for your actions and making positive choices.
Okay, and the mind plays a role in this too, right?
Yes, the mind is a powerful tool that can either support or hinder our spiritual progress.
So how do we make sure our mind's working for us?
By calming and focusing it.
Oh, what I...
Remember those techniques we talked about?
Yeah.
Regulating sexual vital fluid, activating the chakras, Oha's breath.
Okay.
All of those practices are said to have a calming effect on the mind, reducing mental chatter, enhancing our ability to focus and concentrate.
So it's like training your mind to be an ally.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Not a distraction.
Exactly.
But can science actually explain any of this?
Well, neuroscience is showing that the brain is incredibly adaptable.
Okay.
It's constantly rewiring itself based on our experiences.
Okay.
And there's growing evidence that practices like meditation can actually change the structure and function of the brain.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Whoa!
Improving focus, emotional regulation, and even compassion.
So while science may not use the same language as Kayakalpa Yoga, the underlying principles seem to be converging.
They do seem to be pointing in the same direction.
It's like ancient wisdom is being validated.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
By modern scientific discoveries.
It really is.
And it highlights the importance of staying open to both, right?
Absolutely.
To traditional knowledge and scientific inquiry.
We can learn from both.
Yeah, I love that.
Me too.
So we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
This exploration of, the subtle body, chakras, Amrit, karma.
And the power of the mind.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
To digest.
But I'm ready to get practical.
Okay.
How do we actually apply all of this in our daily lives?
That's a great question.
That's what I want to know.
And that's exactly what we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive.
Perfect. I can't wait.
We'll delve into specific techniques and strategies for integrating Kayakalpa Yoga into your life.
Stay tuned for part 3,
all right,
where we'll make this ancient wisdom relevant to your modern life.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We've explored some pretty mind-bending concepts in Kayakalpa Yoga.
Yeah, we have.
Like the subtle body, chakras, the idea of Amrit, this like potential elixir of life. Now, I'm ready to get practical.
Okay.
How do we actually apply this ancient wisdom to our modern lives?
Yeah, that's the key question, right? It's one thing to understand the theory, but how do we make it relevant to our daily experience?
Exactly. So where do we even begin? Good question.
We've talked about regulating sexual vital fluid.
Yeah.
But that can feel a bit vague.
Right.
Even a little intimidating.
Yeah, I can see that.
How does that translate into practical steps?
Well, it's about finding balance.
Okay.
Kayakalpa Yoga encourages us to be more mindful of our sexual energy, viewing it as a powerful force that can be channeled for greater vitality and spiritual growth.
So it's not about suppressing or denying our sexuality.
No, not at all.
But being more conscious and intentional with it.
Exactly.
Wow.
It might involve choosing to engage in sexual activity less frequently.
Okay.
Being more aware of our thoughts and fantasies. And practicing techniques that help us transform sexual energy into a more refined form.
So instead of letting those urges run wild, we're learning to harness and direct that energy towards something more meaningful.
Yeah, that's the idea.
But how does that actually work?
Well, remember those core practices we discussed earlier?
You mean like...
Ashwini Mudra.
Yeah.
Mula Bandha. And Oja's breath.
Right, but those are just the physical exercises.
True, but they're not just physical.
Okay.
They have a profound impact on our energy by practicing these techniques.
Yeah.
We're not just strengthening our pelvic floor muscles.
Okay.
We're also calming the nervous system.
Right.
And bringing awareness to the flow of energy within our bodies.
Okay, so it's like a mind-body connection.
Exactly.
Got it.
This increased awareness allows us to observe our thoughts and impulses without judgment.
Okay.
Making it easier to choose how we want to respond.
So we're not just reacting.
Right.
We're actually choosing.
Exactly. We're becoming more conscious of our actions.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay, good.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Not everyone's looking to become a celibate yogi.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
What about those of us who, want to enjoy a healthy sex life and reap the benefits of Kayakalpa yoga?
Yeah.
Is that even possible?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Kayakalpa yoga isn't about rigid rules or restrictions. It's about finding what works for you.
Okay.
The key is to approach sexuality.
Yeah.
With awareness and intention.
Right.
Choosing to engage in ways that support your overall well-being.
Okay.
Rather than depleting your energy.
Gotcha.
Or creating imbalance.
So it's about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Between enjoying life's pleasures and honoring the wisdom of our bodies.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
But what about those other practices? The ones that supposedly boost energy.
Right.
And maybe even slow down aging.
Yeah.
How do we fit those into our busy lives?
Well, consistency is key.
Okay.
Even dedicating a few minutes each day to practicing Ashwini Mudra, Mula Bandha, and Ohas breath can make a difference.
Okay, a few minutes I can do that.
Yeah, it's doable.
Even with my crazy schedule.
Exactly. You don't need hours and hours.
Right.
Just a little bit each day.
But will just doing those exercises?
It can make a big difference over time.
Really?
Yeah.
What if I'm skeptical about all this talk of chakras and subtle bodies?
It's understandable to be skeptical.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It's a lot.
But think of it this way.
Okay.
Even if you don't fully buy into the metaphysical aspects, these practices are still incredibly beneficial for your physical and mental health.
So even if I don't believe in chakras, I can still benefit from strengthening my pelvic floor.
Absolutely.
And practicing deep breathing.
Yeah, you're improving circulation, reducing stress, increasing body awareness.
Right, right.
And who knows, maybe you'll start to experience those subtle energy shifts
maybe.
that Kayakalpa Yoga describes.
Right. Fair enough.
It's worth a try, right?
What do I have to lose?
Exactly.
But what if I try it and start feeling weird?
Like what?
Or uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah.
The source material mentions potential challenges, even emotional releases.
Yeah, that can happen.
What should I do if that happens?
That's where the guidance of an experienced teacher is crucial.
Okay, so finding the right teacher.
It's really important.
Is non-negotiable.
I would say so, yes.
But what if there aren't any qualified Kayakalpa yoga instructors in my area?
Well, there are online resources available.
Okay.
But it's essential to do your research.
Right.
And choose wisely.
Gotcha.
Look for teachers who emphasize safety, ethical practice, and a deep understanding of the tradition.
So no rushing into things.
No.
Find a qualified guide. Proceed with caution.
Exactly.
Got it.
Good.
But let's say someone's feeling inspired. And wants to start incorporating Kayakalpa yoga into their life today.
Yeah.
What are some baby steps they can take?
Start with awareness.
Okay.
Pay attention to your breath. Notice how you're feeling, both physically and emotionally. Become more conscious of your thoughts and actions.
So it's about cultivating mindfulness in everyday life.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can gradually introduce some of the core practices, like Ashwini Mudra and deep breathing, into your routine.
Okay, so baby steps, consistency, and finding the right guidance.
Those are the key ingredients for success.
I'm curious, what's been your personal experience with Kayakalpa yoga?
Oh, that's a good question.
What's resonated most deeply with you?
For me, it's been about deepening my connection to my own body and understanding the power of energy.
Okay.
It's shifted my perspective on sexuality, aging, even my place in the world.
That's amazing.
It's been a profound journey.
It sounds like Kayakalpa yoga offers a path to not just physical health, but also a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating a sense of wholeness, recognizing the interconnectedness of everything.
I love that.
It's a journey of self-discovery and transformation that I encourage everyone to explore.
And that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, I think so too.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
And I hope you, our listener, feel empowered to embark on your own Kayakalpa yoga journey.
I hope so too.
Remember, It's not about achieving some distant goal of immortality.
Right.
It's about living more consciously, vibrantly, and authentically
Yes.
in the present moment.
That's what it's all about.
Well said.
Thank you. And with that, we'll wrap up our deep dive into Kayakalpa Yoga.
Okay.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
I hope so.
And we encourage you to continue exploring the fascinating world of ancient wisdom and its potential to transform your life.
It's a powerful thing.
Thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure being here.